guys, excited to have everyone here. So this is my man, Jackie. He is one of the owners of Peppy Joe, which is now officially an 8-figure brand, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Super exciting. And who would have thought during COVID, things would be improving even more?
Yeah. Just constantly scaling, man. People need to get their things done at home, I guess. No, but we've always said like recession is like the perfect time to kind of build anything.
Yeah. You can pivot, you can move around, new things open. So I've kind of given everyone a preview of your brand, and I've even shown your store and everything. So, but why don't you start by just telling everyone what the main product is and the brand itself?
Yeah, so we're just a beauty company that focuses on women's nails, and with the focusing on America in general specifically. But we sell all across the world, but about 90% of our business, what did you say, about 95% of our business is US. My wife is in the room with me. But the goal was to touch 150 million women, through ads, and just to get 1 or 2% of those women to respond to us. But you guys, if you've seen the product, it's not that crazy innovative. It's a product that's been around for years, and it's just been tweaked. And then now the difference is what we're doing is that we just educate the learning curve. Because with a lot of these beauty products, there's learning curve, and if they can't get past that learning curve, then they're going to drop you real quick. So the whole process with what we do is educating and making sure they use the product properly, and that allows us to have a little higher price point.
And that's completely backwards from what we do with dropshipping, where we tend to just shove things down people's throats until they buy, right?
Yeah, man. Because you're a hustler mentality at this point. It's no different from me now. Like, I still hustle. I still buy stuff cheap, and I try to sell it just to make things happen. But you have a hustler mentality. Now, we didn't eat off of this company for almost 2 years. So, luckily we had other businesses that allowed us to kind of like take care of our household while we were building this. But now you built to a point to where you have an evaluation that even the bottom line is maybe impressive, but not that impressive. But the exit point of it is impressive. Like the end goal, the end game, whether it's 2-3 years that you have, committed to it, then you can find a buyer. So that's our whole ideology behind it. Because, I can hustle all day, but in the end, you're in a different quadrant. The quadrant that we like to be in is an investor and a business quadrant. Right now, you're in like self-employed or employed quadrant, to where you still got to bust your ass to kind of make the numbers happen, right?
So let's rewind a little bit. We first connected in early 2017, maybe like going into the spring. And at that point, I know I was just running my gym full time. It was doing really well. I branched out. I saw the power of Facebook ads for a local business, and I wanted to start helping other local businesses on my brands, and that's when we connected. And at that point, you were how many months into having found the product and branding it and starting to I think initially you were doing more.
Just a year.
A year.
Just a year. So I'll tell you how crazy it is. It's like Tiffany is the social media person behind all this. We started in the back of a RAV4, basically. We scheduled a 60-day road trip across America with our friends. They drove and we sat in the back. And my wife just worked on content from the back of a RAV4. So she basically just posted stories and just kind of like try to connect with people. Back when it was easy to where you unfollowed and followed and just commented on a couple of posts and people would follow you back. You had good photos or whatnot. So like, at the same time, I was selling sports picks. Again, it goes back to hustling. Like, I was selling sports picks where I was selling like football games. I'd pick 3 teams that I think could win, and I'd sell those picks through Instagram, and people would be buying them. It was a virtual product. I could sell them to as many people as possible. And I said, this is working for me. I'm selling sports picks. Like, you need to get on Instagram and Facebook and kind of like just get the word out there about our product. Just to get 1 sale a day. But we started on a site called Weebly. It's like Wix, but worse. you know? And everybody was just like, why are you on Weebly? I'm like, well, that's what we know. I mean, that's how I built my stupid websites, like local websites off of. And, you know, then we'd be talking to the people at Weebly, and they're like, you guys are doing like 90,000 a month? And like, you're like one of the biggest sales on Weebly. And I'm like, well, we're about to leave you because it's not working for us no more. But I mean, it was about a year by the time we realized like social media was a game changer, and that we had to understand like pixelating and all that. So that's when we reached out to John, and John was doing it locally. And I was like, well, if you could do it locally and, help scale a company to make a couple $100,000 a year, I was like, I wonder what he can do for us when he implemented some of that stuff to go nationally. So that was a huge point. I mean, so John, talk about what you did for us in general, like in the beginning.
It was crazy. I just took your list, and I actually use Facebook Audience Insights, which I ironically barely use at all now, years later, now that I'm deeper into this e-com space. And I remember just finding like all these random interests that Facebook fed back to me, and we were testing things like Taylor Swift and stuff, just random interests. I was like still learning how to really make e-commerce happen. And I remember your sales just freaking, it was like ads started here. You were doing like a lot of boosted posts and BPs.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
And then it just like, it blew my mind. I was like, why am I running a gym? Like, what am I doing right now?
Yeah. I think I was trying to talk you into doing something then, because I'm like, dude, you're doing it for us. I'm like, why can't you could definitely do it for yourself, bro. So, but I mean, we spent all those years, all those times meeting with you, like we never paid her. Yeah. So, I mean, you definitely helped us scale to a certain point for sure. And then, we got to the point where my wife were doing ads, and then you did the ads. And then we were like, we just needed to committed more time to content. I was a big, just find more content, do more content. Cause I'm a big guy into Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone. And like when we got stuck on Gary Vee for a little bit, and he just talks about content. And we're just like, all right, we got to hire this out. Pay an ad agency to do it. And that's why we got you on the ball. And then we could focus on more content because we just want to be able to give as much value as possible. And I think that's why our strategy of like educating the clients work, because we're not charging the clients for that, so we're just educating them to kind of use the product properly. And then, what else they can come from it afterwards. Cause I mean, they're learning about all other types of products while they're just learning about our products too.
How many like big brands are in your space?
3 big brands, but probably 3 dozen like crazy, like strong competitors are coming up.
And how many are investing the time into the education piece?
0. Yeah, I mean, you might have their influencers that pop out like YouTube videos every now and then, but it's not structured. It's just random stuff. So we've been committed since day one to kind of do tutorial Tuesdays where we go live and show how our product is used. And then,
He was on one.
Oh, John was on one. Yeah, John was on one tutorial Tuesdays. But the tutorial Tuesdays are now, we used to get 2,000 people live watching our tutorial Tuesdays and staying on for more than 30 minutes. So now we're at about 600-700 live every Tuesday. And I think that's still pretty cool, because I watch a lot of people's lives, and they're just not, even people with 1 million followers, they only get up to like 1,000 or 1,200. But it's kind of neat that, you kind of built this cult following, so to say, to kind of like surround around the product.
What have been some of the biggest changes over the last 2 years?
For growth wise, you think? I've always said when you're working with industries like ours, there's 2 points in time where women just have to feel amazing when they're struggling. 1929 was the Great Depression, and 1987 was another huge market crash. That was a huge indicator that when people had nothing, they still needed to feel great about themselves. So simple things like lipstick and like beauty products and stuff like that kind of like made women just feel good enough about what was going on in life. So I think the way that our economy has been booming has helped us kind of like scaled, but surprisingly to say, like, because we're sinking into a recession, it's kind of like giving us the boost to kind of like scale, because it's considered the lipstick effect. It worked with nail polish in 1987, and it worked with lipstick in 1929. So I think that's the real big kicker right now in the past 2 years. Changing wise is also the other thing is fulfillment. Like, now we got more products that we're shipping out, close to 700-800, products a day that we're sending out. So it's like, those are the challenges too. Now, how do we fulfill a little bit more quicker? Because everyone's stuck to this damn 2-day standard that Amazon set. So that's a challenge. Like, we thought about doing stuff like drop shipping, but we wanted to make sure that we took care of our clients, because if we did take care of our clients, then they would continue to come back a little bit more.
And what's I know you told me already, but just so everyone knows, what's your repeat customer rate?
We got a 12% retention, like once we acquire the new customer the very next month. So like when we structured this, we started to understand strong LTV, the lifetime value of our customer. And we lived by those numbers. Like understanding those numbers made us go, all right, if we lose out, we continue to lose out and we lose out. As long as our back end is structured, then we're going to crush it. So the back end of the social media groups, like the e-com groups that you guys are in now, that is very informative and valuable. So we have that huge following. And then, the email blasting, and then, Manny chat and, all SMS and all that. So understanding the LTV was the best part, man. And that's in that book that I told you about, John. And like, we should definitely share with that group, that book.
You mean this book?
Yes, sir. That book right there, man. That's been the blueprint to our success, easily said.
Ready, Fire, Aim, from the 8-figure brands. Real person, live on the call if you're watching this live. Get that book. It's like it's inexpensive for the price, whatever.
I mean, I think it's $4.99 on freaking Kindle, if you want to just audiobook it. I mean, I read it probably once or twice a year just to kind of stay on track, because it talks about different infancy. It talks about infancy stages, and it talks about different stages of companies, where you should be and how you should scale after that. So that's the best part of the book, because I don't have a mentor. It's like, in life, when you're trying to crush it in success and in business, you always have to have somebody you're competing against. You also have to have somebody that is your mentor, and then you also have to have somebody you're educating at that point. So there's 3 phases of like becoming something of this size, because it just pushes you. Every part of that holds you accountable, because if you just go at it yourself, then who's holding you accountable, in my opinion?
Yeah. What it's interesting also to go back to the source of traffic. You mentioned it's been Facebook ads, but then you said a lot of email and SMS. One of the most common questions when I collected all the questions from our VIP group on the call here was about influencers. And it was interesting when we had lunch last week, you said you haven't really tapped into influencers.
You haven't even tapped. I mean, it's another channel. It sounds ridiculous, right?
Dude.
Yeah, it's like a dabble. It's like we appetize on it, basically. I mean,
I'm so happy we're doing this call right now. I know Florian's live on it. Most other people are going to be watching this on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But I know Florian has those guys that like just smash drop shipping with influencers. So you'll definitely make a connect from doing this call.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It's someone that's going to set you up with the right people, dude. It's gonna
awesome. Yeah,
I look forward.
Yeah, I look forward, because I mean, we scaled to this point, and I'm like just using only 2 or 3 channels, and that's the crazy thing. The realization that you can scale to where we're at just using 2 to 3 channels, and then there's all these other channels available still. So that's why I'm like, we haven't even hit no threshold. I'm like, we're just coming out at infancy stage, according to the book. We're literally just coming out at infancy stage, but then we still have an amazing evaluation from our accountant. And then we're going to get a true evaluation, and it's going to be, upwards into the 9 figures, which is kind of sick. And it's just unbelievable to believe that it's possible.
4 years.
4 years.
About 4 years.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's 4 years. But I mean, it's just thinking a little bit smarter and surrounding ourselves around people like, yourself and all that. I mean, I would have never thought that $80,000, $90,000 days would be achievable if it wasn't for Tan Brothers. I'll say that, because they gave a little hope and believing. And even the Beltran, Carlos Beltran, right? What's his name? Gabriel Beltran, that guy that I was following. I mean, even then, like, seeing those days made it believable that, okay, there's hope that we can get here through, Facebook ads and Instagram ads only.
And you basically have, it's insane, man. Yeah. It's so insane. But I hope everyone is not getting distracted by that as well, because you're pointing out that, yes, that was your entry to get people into your world and your funnel, but that's not what matters in the long run. That retention is where you make your money, because we're going to talk like acquisition costs and stuff, and like our dropshippers listening you might be like, huh? Right? So we'll get to that in a minute. So everyone keeps watching. But I wanted to ask one of our first questions, since we're kind of on the topic of Facebook already. And a lot of the guys on this live with us do a lot of health and beauty, and they're constantly running into ad issues, how to circumvent, how to work the system, right? Because Facebook is notorious with skin, health, beauty, before and after. How do you do it? Is an advantage being a brand and Facebook recognizing that fact, and or how do you do it, especially with close-ups on a body part, which is one of the biggest no-nos with Facebook?
I have no idea in regards to like the body parts part of it, honestly. But I think it's definitely because the brand itself, just creating that brand. So I can't recollect, but it's honestly, I mean, I think a brand is just holds credible, because when they start doing the check marks, the check marks and assuring that, okay, this ad is coming from this brand, and then when they start doing their little spider to where they say, okay, they have Instagram that's legit, they have this is legit, they have all these things that are legit to keep that ad running. Like, we never have anything, our ads guy never says we have ads that are getting kicked off for any reason. Because you do have that problem, don't you, with some of the ads? And then it runs fresh, and then all of a sudden it just dies out.
Yep.
Right. We've haven't had anything like that from what our ad guys have said.
So you're telling me doing the right thing and building a brand is actually the only way to do it?
It's the only way to keep those ads going, but I mean, they get expensive. I mean, I'm not going to say that they don't. I mean, I think the sneaky way sometimes works well to build your brand real quick, and then capture emails. Like if you have like 20 ad accounts and just crushes it, and then you get up that email list from all those ad accounts, and then now you can work off of that. But I don't know. I mean, I really think our brand is actually keeping us, but we've never been canceled.
Do you have the blue check mark?
No, we're working on the blue check mark.
I know that could probably buy that for the right price. Let me know.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Yeah. So it's like proper articles. So we're working on getting articles in Entrepreneurs, Forbes, and all that. They kind of solidify all of that so we can get the check marks properly.
Interesting. Super interesting to hear that, man. I think that gives everyone a little bit of hope too, because like the general speak is that you can't run, results-based beauty stuff as much. But I think you're obviously proving it that's not the fact, and you can actually do it at scale and crush if you do it the right way. No,
I said just definitely play the patient game. I mean, I know being a hustler, it's hard being patient, man. You want results, man. You love to double the money.
Quick backstory. Why don't you tell everyone who you really are, the Margarita Man?
Oh yeah. So I have a couple businesses. I'm the Margarita Man of DC. That's why I got this laid back look, right? But I have Margarita Man of DC, where I set up frozen drink machines for birthday parties, weddings, and stuff. And then I actually have a moon bounce business too, where I set up moon bounces, tents, tables and chairs, and bouncy castles, water slides and stuff. So, I mean, that's another business that we run, for the past 15, 16 years. So just a lot of fun stuff, a lot of positive stuff. I mean, the goal is to surround yourself constantly around positive stuff. So you can, when you hit adversity, you go, you just roll with it.
We need to do a whole nother episode on just your mindset. Like you just, the way you think, it's powerful, man. I think a lot of guys, especially in the dropshipping and e-commerce space, just get so head down in like the technical, the circumventing of the policies, like why Facebook's out to get them. Like, but this isn't actually talked about a lot. We won't go deep into
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying, man. And a lot of times it's just literally about getting the sale, but then you start to get the policies. You try to get like particular about how perfect things have to be. But man, it's really about just getting the sale.
Next question is, what's currently working to help you scale? I know you sent me a couple screenshots. You just casually sent me one about how you guys did 1.2 million. I think the month wasn't even done. That was probably like July 20th.
Yes.
What's working so well for you? Obviously, besides the simple fact that you're a legitimate brand, you have repeat customers, you put out great content and all of the above. But what's helping you scale to massive days right now?
The back end, new products. Like if you guys pick up that book, he'll talk about how you can work with one product and you can get to a certain point. But the minute you start pumping in new products, because now we have 90,000 women, right, babe?
Yeah.
So we got a little bit over 90,000 women, and now that we can just pump new product in relations to the industry, that gets, I mean, if you got 10,000 of your 90,000 to kind of buy all the new stuff, then it's like, those are the months that goes out of nowhere, right? So we have months where, we have birthday sales. Like this month is our annual birthday sale for the company. Then we have owners' birthdays that we do sales for. Like those are like the free, like we don't spend any money to get those in. I mean, and those are $200,000-$300,000 days, but that's like no marketing other than whatever you pay for the email, 90,000 people. And then there's the social media. But those are the days that gets us to that point. Now we're scaling to where, we were spending $2,000-$3,000 a day in ads to 10 to 11. Now we're pushing closer to like 16 to 18,000 a day in ads. And that's just to acquire the new customer, just to keep that retention strong, to kind of hit our target numbers. We can probably stay steady without growing and still, do decent, not 7 figures, but a little bit under 6 figures, and be happy without having to spend the ads. But we're trying to get as many new customers as possible and educate women as much as possible. So we're happy with spending about 30% of our dollars on ads.
What is your average cost per purchase?
$50 right now. Yeah.
We might have to have another conversation. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
We can help you hack that. We were talking a little bit at lunch.
That's right now. I think it's because we were watching something yesterday, and Clavio, they put on like a little ad, how much people were spending. They were talking about how Kohl's would spend about $300,000 a month unusual on ads, but once you get in the fourth quarter, they're at $11 million. So we're like, all right, we're getting to that point where we're starting to compete with Kohl's, Target, and all that. So our ad cost is going to be going up a little bit more. So we're considering like, how do we strategize going into the fourth quarter? So that's why we wanted to scale ads now to kind of get that retargeting a little bit cheaper. So we're hitting them hard. So we're scaling up. It's not converting as well. That's why it's costing $50. But it's different. The first month it's like $50-$60 or whatever, and then you look at it a month later, it's like 30-40 or maybe even 25.
So it's because your recipe scaling and you optimize back down.
Yeah.
What is there any secrets? I'm sure everyone on the call wants to know the strategy secrets, or is it just like old fashioned, like big budgets, lookalikes, open targeting?
That's pretty much it, man. Everybody wants to know the secret, but I think if you understand whatever buyer that you're trying to get to buy your product, make that brand so damn lovable that they have to be in this group, whatever group it is, to kind of talk about that brand. And even if you can get them to talk about your brand out loud while other people's phones are open and that phone is going to pick up your brand via the phone, then That's a small task to ask for your clients to do, and they will do it. If they love your brand enough, they're going to talk about it out loud. But the group is just amazing. I mean, if you guys check out the group, I mean, what's our group size now? 45,000 users that are passionate about the product, and then if they post a color that they just did, they talk about it and they get like 400 or 500 likes and like hundreds of comments, and that's just
because you're not you're not living and dying by the ad, because if you weren't getting repeats or building those assets with your email list, that's a happy email list.
Yeah.
Your SMS list, that's a happy SMS list.
Yeah.
Facebook group, that's die hard. You wouldn't be making any money. You might have these kinds of numbers, but you wouldn't be.
No.
Listen to that, guys. Listen to this. Like, this is super important. Like, especially like coming from the dropshipping space, this is what we don't have.
I think I've talked to a bunch of dropshippers, and they're always having the challenge of finding that next product so they can make quick profit. And dude, I think they're great. I think all dropshippers are creative as shit to kind of like come up with these strategies to kind of, turn 10, 20 grand in days in sales, or even $5,000 a day in sales. I'm like, if I were to start out fresh, that'd be hard. I mean, but what you guys are doing is just amazing still, but just applying those same principles to building a brand, just imagine what you could do, in the long term. Like, you could do day to day and crush it, right? And then you got to pivot and try to find something else that you could do day to day and crush it. But I mean, I think that's an important phase in becoming, something more anyway. So whatever phases that anybody's going through shopping, drop shipping, is just the next step. So it's just got to be when you're ready to transition or not.
Since we're talking about transition, 2 questions, and I asked you these in some ways last week. First question is, how do you select the product? I mean, I know we talked about this a bit, and it sounded like it's more so like a gut feeling, understanding some of the market, and not really giving an F about competition as much.
Yeah.
Having faith in the product. That's your starting point, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I talked about it, when I said, man, we have 150 million women in the United States, and all I want to do is tap 1% of them. I mean, that number is huge. We haven't even tapped 1% of them to buy our product. So, and that's in 3 to 4 years. So if you got 1% of them spending 50, 60 bucks with you, and then you find a way to get them back for another 50 to 60 bucks through the course of 3 to 4 years, then you got yourself a business. So choosing a product doesn't necessarily have to be the most innovative product. It's just how much competition you have in that space, or how different can you make that product in regards to ads. So I look at it like this. Did you realize that brushing your teeth is not something that was sold to you because you thought it was hygienic? No, it was because of advertising that made you believe that brushing your teeth should be hygienic. Realistically, you could have just eaten the apple, ate more strawberries, and your teeth would be fine. But because the guy that goes, hey, rub your tongue across the front of your teeth. You feel that slime? You know how you can get rid of that slime? You got to brush your teeth with Colgate or baking soda. So he changed the way that everybody hygienes, So just to think that, you could be competitive in any space is doable. It's just a matter of how you're going to, bring to that attention to that specific person. Everybody has, different personalities, and maybe you just got to nail down one of the 16 different personalities and you just crush it. I mean, we might only be nailing down 2 or 3 personality traits in our industry, and that's it. And that's maybe all we need. We don't have to hit 16 personalities, to crush it in a product. So it's just the angle on how you got to do it. And when you were talking about, like I'm talking to your guy now about video ads, I mean, we're hoping that he can create different variations of the product for us, because we never know what new crowd that we could attract by not having certain variations of ads or video ads out there. So that is the focus right now for us.
So it's so cool hearing that, man, because it's like, as drop shippers, we put it up, and so a lot of, guys that are a little more advanced, they'll reinvest more time and money into finding like a good angle or, but the main point is that we're looking for the product to work for us versus us making that commitment to the long haul. And I think that's the gap that a lot of us struggle with, because I don't want to say we're addicted to the short-term quick fix of seeing results, getting cheap purchases, cranking our AOV, like all those things. But I really think
to do it on the side, like I think have it going anyways. Like I said earlier, I'm buying and selling golf clubs regardless of what I'm doing with, what we're doing with Peppy. It's like, I'm still buying used golf clubs and selling them just for fun. And I make, thousands of dollars doing it, but it's just a part of the hustle in me that will never die. I mean, what am I supposed to do with it? It's like a drive that just won't go away, but at the same time, now that we know that we can build something sustainable as well and actually have an end game. So that's the problem with me before, was like, we had a service business, local service business. And even if we crushed it and we were the top best service business in the area, we would do well. I think we would make, a couple million if we sold out, but that was it. We were capped at that point. And I'm like, well, I definitely wanted more. And I feel like there's no reason for me to be capped, just running a service industry, whether if it's moon bounces, margaritas, a gem, or, a donut shop, I just don't want to be capped.
Yep.
But now it's like you're capped. And then now you just want to go for another journey. We're always going to be hungry as entrepreneurs, we're always going to be hungry, but if we do a 9-figure sale, I mean, I'm going to be happy and content, but I'm still not going to be, content enough to where I'm not going to do anything. We're just constantly going to be able to looking for something, whatever's next best, what you could be a part of a journey. Really, it's like being a part of a journey. These numbers are cool, but it's just like we live a frugal lifestyle, man. Like, we don't really need the numbers.
He's one of the most down to earth, like humble dudes you will ever meet, by the way. And I hope everyone has a chance to meet him at some point.
Thanks, man. But yeah, it's definitely part of the journey. It's fun. It's like, we look at it I look at it as like playing a video game. Like, I can get addicted to Thug Life right now, or any video game, and all you're trying to do is do a high score. For what reason you're trying to hit that high score? But you do the same task, mundane tasks, or you can be a little creative and make more money or make more points playing video games, but you just want to get that highest score for whatever reason. And you play that game. And like, just imagine when you did play video games, how long you played video games for to get that high score. I mean, if you put that same commitment in trying to build a business to get that high score, then you got a high score of real life versus video game. So I think that's how I like to try to look at it, man. I mean, it's not like I love video games, but I do it because I know it's just important. Because I mean, if I apply it to life, then it's the same way, right?
Yep. So let's say someone on this call is super inspired and they pick the product they want to sell. They maybe just buy it in bulk or private label, however they decide to move forward. What is that gap from start to traction that you believe someone needs, even with the skill set of cutting cost per purchase down, cranking AOV, maybe even finding good fulfillment up front? If you were to start all over, what's the grind you're committing to, that initial grind before you feel like you've made some traction?
Start making sales. I wouldn't worry about how your logo is or how that is or none of that, but start making sales right off the bat. And then you gotta like start structuring everything together. I mean, because you got to be a salesman in the end. In the end, you still have to be a salesman. Like, you could be good online and like get leads and stuff, but in the end, you still got to be a salesman. Now, how we definitely would do it different is, what you guys already have down, I think through Facebook, you have the hugest advantage to kind of scale up quicker. The hugest. Like, that was the hump for us. It's like, we didn't have that skill set. Like, my wife had to learn that skill set to kind of get to a certain point. And then John had to assist us. So, I mean, that's probably why we kind of went off a little bit slower and it took us 3 to 4 years to get to this point. But you guys have an advantage already, being able to take that product and actually get in front of people's faces to get it to convert. Like, how many of you guys total, everybody in here probably has enough conversions, they're crushing at $100,000 total in this room a day, at least, right? Don't you think?
At least, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy numbers, man. I think that's just crazy numbers that you guys are already doing this. So there's no reason to transition. There's no reason not to transition to that brand, because you already know probably 30% of what you need to do. Now it's just the mindset that you got to get to kind of stay in it and stay in the grind of building that brand. There's always somebody bigger that's going to want to buy you out. That's how I look at it.
I love that mentality, man.
Yeah, there's always somebody that's better than you. I mean, there's just always somebody that's hungrier than you. And eventually you'll get complacent. You want to live a life of freedom, and then you can say goodbye, and just flip it. And then you'll be bored because you're living a life. You go back, try to scale something else.
Well, not too much traveling these days, unfortunately. Not like
yeah, dude. Definitely miss that, man. That traveling created a lot of creativities for us. Being able to see different things, different colors. Because being in our industry, like we're going to Spain, going to Morocco, going to Thailand, all those different colors, kind of like it creates creativity. Like you definitely need to do that, constantly. If you're content builder.
It changes, it gets you out of your space. And
yeah. You get stuck in a bubble, man, and you got to get out of it sometimes and just see life and have perspective and gratitude.
Let me ask you another question. Had a lot around fulfillment, sourcing. So why don't you tell everyone, maybe what you're doing now or how you initially started sourcing and doing fulfillment?
We started in a basement fulfilling with one packer. And we're still fulfilling ourselves. Now, I might not think that it might be the most cost efficient way, but we're supplying jobs to our people in our community. So my wife and her partner definitely loves that too. So we're fulfilling ourselves. Now you have options. There's more fulfillment facilities popping up like crazy. And we've gotten estimates for 20,000 products a month. And they've quoted us at like $250, $3. And that actually kind of like beats.
Wow.
And if they have like a 1%, 2% buffer, if they go beyond that buffer, they cover the cost. So there's a lot of these fulfillment centers in America that has that, mostly Midwest, which is good.
But you're keeping it in-house.
Yeah, so everything is in-house. So you guys know, the best part about in-house is like quality control. You check the quality control. And like that's probably the important thing to building our brand was the quality control, and to make sure the product is coming in the way they are and it's going out the way it should be, and then it's arriving the way it should be. So like one of our partners is in charge of now the UPS and just the postal service are just have an influx of shipments and just random stuff. Everything's getting shipped right now. So now we're having items that are getting crushed. So now we got to pivot and try to change the way our boxes are being made. So some of our items don't get crushed on the delivery process. So, I mean, there's always new challenges. With growth.
Love it, man. You're not worried about the next Facebook hack. You're thinking of like, how do you actually take care of your customers? And I think that's the hard way, but it's the right way, especially in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's a lot of heart in this business from the key owners. Like my wife and their partner, like they have a lot of heart in it, and they show it to their customers. And I think, well, I talked to you, John, about branding and buying nowadays. Like everybody's buying different. They're not buying on a big scale anymore as much. The new buyers now, I feel like they're buying more when they're in touch and connected with somebody. I mean, there's a lot of impulse buying. Like a lot of products that are drop ship is impulse buying, but the long-term buying process comes from being connected to somebody. And realizing like these people are real, and here are the owners on Tuesdays, giving us tutorials, and then you're hearing the owners customer service wise too. I mean, both of the key owners in the business, they still do customer service and talk to customers on the regular, whether it's on social media or even through email. So they continue to have that lifeline. Like we did a party when we first started the business. It was August something, and we still have probably 30% of the customers that bought that day. And that was like, these are our strong, loyal customers because one, they were friends, and two, they love the product and they love the way that we stay connected to them.
How did you decide on the market and the product?
Oh man, I mean, I just feel like marketing, as in putting it on social media. Is that what you're saying?
Just like the initial choice, like the product selection, like from the start. Why did you decide on this product? And then the market itself, like why?
Think about it. The product has a bunch of SKUs with one product, basically. It's one product, but you can still have 1,000 SKUs. 1,000 SKUs is 1,000 colors. So we knew, like, if we get a customer base big enough and if we learn how to release only 2 to 3 colors a month, that's basically a new product every month. So
a large part of it was obviously the girls used the product already before.
Yeah.
And then they just felt like they could do it better, and they saw its potential too.
Well, yes, yeah, absolutely.
What so we already talked about repeat customers. You get about 12%. To come back for additional orders. I think this question list is really long, man. Sorry. What let's just go on the cuff, off the cuff, whatever the right saying is. What are some ideas that you would love to share with the dropshipping community for people that are interested in going down this path?
Dude, I think you guys are doing something that I personally cannot do. And I think you guys can transition into brand building for longevity. You could do $1 million in sales a year and be content and happy. And you could do that for the rest of your life. But realistically, you still would always have to do that. But 3 years, 4 years of hard work and just building your brand to be able to sell it to somebody, I think you could just have so much more freedom at that point. And you can decide at that point what you would want to do, whether you want to continue the route of entrepreneurship or continue the route of actually finding a new meaning, maybe happiness, whatever. Hold on. Florian just asked how we found the product. So the product was, like I said earlier, it was 20 years it's been around. So it's been around for 20 years. So like I told John earlier, like you can find a product that's in the 80s or the 70s and just rebrand it and just change the way you market it. Like I'm working on something now that has been around forever, and I know the product is going to do good because of the way I'm going to market it and the way I'm going to brand it, So it really, truly doesn't matter. I think if you find a product, you can ask me and I could tell you what it could come out of it. Because it goes back to niches anyways, it's just the same thing. Like, how big the nail polish industry is? It's not even that big. It's only $1 billion industry. It's not nothing crazy. It's a big industry, but it doesn't compare to dog food or dog pet stuff, or it doesn't compare to, anything. It's just so small.
Super cool, man. Let me say 2 things. First, I want to respect his time. So we'll take our last couple questions here. So if you have any questions, just drop them to the chat because we probably got some fresh ideas and questions. And
yeah, I'm seeing some stuff come through.
Also for our guys and gals here live, obviously we didn't charge for this. And I'm really happy Jackie was able to take some time. I really appreciate it, man. I did chat with him before and see if he wanted to offer anything, and he actually decided he wanted to share a charity or a cause. So I want to give him a second to mention that, and I just ask if you got any kind of value from this. I think it would probably mean a lot to him if you maybe donate whatever you think is a reasonable amount, and we'll make sure to include the link, and I'll link it back on the YouTube channel when we actually edit and post this video.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. And also in our WhatsApp VIP group that everyone live. So why don't you tell everyone about that cause that you would like to support?
Yeah. So our uncle, he became a president of a school for autistic kids. And it's after they hit 16, 18 range where they go into adulthood that they have the school that educates them on how to live life after, high school. So he has, maybe 60 to 80 students, and it's all private funded. Like one of the Hertz kids that owns Hertz whatever. They went through that school and it was helpful for him. But he's been doing it for 3 years. Unfortunately, with this whole COVID thing, like a lot of parents aren't being able to pay their tuitions for their kids, and it's pretty pricey. You know, it's like a college, but it teaches them everything. So you know, our business have been able to donate to it, you know, for a few years. And I'll definitely get you a link. So it would definitely awesome. It would be awesome if that cause could be helped out, man. Yeah. So it's just yeah, they're definitely having problems to operating right now because of COVID, because they're applying for grants and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just kids trying to live life, just learning how to write a checkbook or even take Uber. So this is what that school does, and it's one of its only kind in like America that's privately funded. So I definitely appreciate that.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
So last couple questions coming in. Let's see. So we talked about how you found the product already.
Can you get the link? Oh, you did?
Well, yeah, just drop it into the chat. Make sure it goes to everyone, and not privately to just one person. As you're grabbing that, I'll read off the next question. Have you had any issues with PayPal at your current scale?
Babe, my wife has that answer. What has PayPal done to us to kind of have they been an issue for us?
They were only an issue at about year 2, roughly, when the income was getting higher. They were an issue because you had to go in and like manually do like all the pay things to collect the pay. But they don't do that. Well, they don't do that to us now, but I don't know if they also changed like how they do.
And what value point was that? How much was that? Do you remember?
It was like $50K a week, maybe.
Yeah, when we started hitting $50K a week, that's when they started giving us problems. But now
I'm on like an auto thing that it pays out once or twice a week automatically. I don't have to go in and push any buttons.
So now she says once or twice a week, it just auto pays us.
And your chargeback rate is probably super low, and
yeah. I mean, shoot, I would say
a little during COVID because financial issues, I'm sure, arise for a lot of people. But overall, our chargebacks are very, very minimal. Like before COVID, I probably maybe had 5 to 10 a month. During COVID, I think I'm still at like 10 to 15, and that's it.
I mean, imagine that.
That's out of 20,000 sales a month.
So that's the difference. Like people feel so connected. I mean, like we had probably 4-month waiting list on sending out our products through COVID. Like, I mean, not 4 months, 4 weeks.
It got up to 6 weeks.
It got up to 6 weeks. So it took us 6 weeks to get a product to them. And then even our freaking chargebacks weren't that high, but it was huge. It was a lot of communication to the customers, emails after emails, posting it everywhere on our social media that, this is the reason why we're behind. And then they felt like it made them even more anxious to kind of try the product too.
Strategic question, and I'm sure everyone in dropshipping will like this too, especially right now. Did you post that in advance, with transparency on product pages, or was that posted more across?
Yes, it was posted even at checkout.
Wow.
On product pages, top of the website, at checkout, in the confirmation email, and we post it on Facebook and Instagram, our stories daily, what day we were packing, so they can anticipate how many more days until we got to them.
Yeah, so every day through Instagram and Facebook, Tiffany would update. We were packing, April 13th. All the orders that came in for April 13th, those are the days we're packing. We're packing. So that would be constant. So I think that was very appreciative. Transparency to our customers is so huge, man. The minute that they feel like you're being shysty with them, they'll quit the bill. In the first 2 years, we had a period where we had couple haters that felt like we were being shysty for whatever reason, and there was no truth to it, but they built a strong enough following to kind of hurt our business. I mean, it was hurting us $20,000-$30,000 a month, and that was when we weren't doing that much, so they built a group, an anti peppy group, and we got them to pretty much change the name of it because they were just defaming us. But the minute that group felt that we were being shysty, they were just deterred from it. And then that's how quick they were able to pull in more negative people to kind of join. So needless to say, we lost some loyal customers because they felt like we weren't being truthful, even though we were.
I've been through that on a local scale. I know what it's.
Yeah.
It hurts, but dude, once you go through that once at any scale, I mean, your skin just gets thicker.
Yeah, I mean, it was like we knew we could prove them wrong because the product was just just amazing product. And like, there's nothing, the support that we put behind it was just too critical. So we just had to fight through it PR wise, and then we got out of it. People get bored. I mean, it's like anything else in the world today. Whatever riots and crazy things we had recently, they're bored again. So they're on to the next thing. It's no different from a freaking Kiki challenge that people are doing. They get bored and they go do the next thing. So we knew it's just a phase, but it's definitely part of business. It hurts you. You just got to know how to PR through it.
Love it, man. Real quick, everyone live with us. Link is in the chat. If you guys could just take a minute out as soon as we wrap up here, to drop a couple bucks or a lot of bucks, whatever you feel is cool, would be appreciated. And I want to end on this question, unless there's anything else you want to share after. And I think this is actually the perfect question to end with. If you were to start from scratch, how would you go about finding that niche or product that you want to build a brand around? And what would be the next steps from there?
If I were to start from scratch, I'll tell you, look at what businesses sell for, what industries have crazy multiples. And that's something that I would have never even thought of before any of this. So who are the big players that always have cash? John and I talked about this the other day. I go Google, Apple, and all these companies that have billions of dollars. They buy tons of businesses every day, whether it's 5 million, 10 million. You never hear about it, but they buy tons of businesses. So who's to say that you can't be one of those little small businesses that they buy just because they want to get rid of you or bring on your innovative ideas and put it part of their portfolio? The thing is, there's just so many of them out there. So what industry gets high multiples? A service industry ain't gonna do it. My Moonbounce business, even if it does $1 million a year, I'm only gonna sell for maybe $2 million. I mean, anything local, just not gonna get high multiples. If you can get an industry that has high multiples, whether it's beauty, whether it's just IT, virtual product, like I was talking to a fitness couple that I go, you guys should do a virtual product. Who cares if you make $10,000 a month to start? You might get to $50,000, $60,000 a month to start. Either way, it's a virtual product that you might be able to sell in the long run. Multiples of 8, 9, 10, So the beauty industry is crazy, man. The multiples goes from 5.2 all the way to 11.7. So depending on how strong your metrics are when you share it with an investment banker, they're going to tell you, all right, we liked it because everything's in line. Your fulfillment's perfect. Your advertisement, you have structure. You could be at a 10 times multiples, man. I mean, Harry Shave Club, think about them. That shit is so simple. It's just a razor. And they do $100-something million and have an evaluation of $1 billion. Does that drive you crazy to think? There's another company called Laundress. All it is new ways of doing laundry with laundry detergent, cleaning. Like people buy polos and they don't want to use Tide as their laundry detergent, so they use Laundress because it's high-end laundry detergent. They only did $12 million in sales, got a $100 million valuation. So, I mean, you think about this. Like I would look at industries that are like that have enough capital, and it's easy to pay attention to the stock market with these public companies. They always talk about how much cash flow they have. So you find an industry that just will pay because they come to stumps as well. Their team might not be as creative anymore, and they might need to just bring something creative to the table. Somebody who's a little bit more younger, somebody who's a little bit more creative, a new product that they can put into their portfolio. And sometimes they make so much damn money, they just need to do a loss, man. They might just have to buy your company for a loss. So find an industry that has good multiples, because if you want to build the brand, you're going to build it to exit, or maybe you build it to kind of live on it forever. But we built the brand to kind of exit, and that's the reason why that we're going to have multiple brands after this. now that we know the blueprint, of scaling.
Love it, man. Thank you for your time, brother. Everyone, make sure to check out the charity. The link is live, and then also on below this video on the YouTube channel. And I want to end. I didn't ask you this in advance, but it just came to me. I thought this would be a fun, cool way to end. What is either a quote or idea you live by, or something you use for inspiration?
Oh, in life, I always say, live life with passion, and that's kind of always stolen from Tony Robbins. And now I kind of like take it differently, be passionate about what you do, but sure as hell know that it better be fucking profitable.
Well said, man. Thank you again for your time, man. And if anyone needs to connect with Jackie, we'll set up some way that they could reach out, not to overload you and take your time, but I'm sure you'll be working with a lot of people trying to move into branding in the future. And I'd love to set you up for that too. So
I just want to say, dude, that every time that I speak to you, or even anybody that has taken 30 minutes or 20 minutes out of their day, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody's time. I mean, it's just cool that anybody can take an hour out of their day just to kind of listen to somebody speak. So I definitely appreciate your time. So it's awesome.
No worries, man. Have a great one, guys.
All right. Cheers.